Confessions of a Rock and Roll Zelig. I am Holly Quirk, joined by my co-hosts. My dad, Del Breckenfeld. Hi, Dad.
I'm the cohort.
The cohort, whatever that is. And then my sister, Shanna Breckenfeld. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks, guys, for joining me for another episode. So I'll just jump right in. Last episode was our Halloween episode, and so Dad had more of like kind of a spookier-ish story, not really, but kind of tied into it. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed our last episode. So yeah, how are you guys all doing this week?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Post-Halloween.
Post Halloween, right?
We're like post Malone.
Just like that, Dad.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
When I watched 2 years ago, Post Malone, he's pretty big. I guess he still is. And it was good, but he was on Dick Clark's Not Quite Rockin' New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah, that was
Not Quite Rocking, because there used to be rock bands.
Yeah.
And by the way, and I don't even know if I talked on a podcast, I don't remember, stop me, but who was the host? He's on like every station at the same time.
Ryan Seacrest,
Shan. He was on every station
at the same time.
And the only live music was Journey on some station. And then I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is cool, because at least it could have been lip sync, but I think they were live, right? It was Journey on some show in Florida or something, but it was New Year's Eve. And all of a sudden, Ryan Seacrest comes out. I'm like, it was like he was on every show. They were all taped, I'm sure, times. But the funny thing about Post Malone,
he's a clone. He has a clone.
But I was telling Bettina, I said, God, there's no rock and roll anymore. It's all lip syncing, and that's okay.
Auto-tune.
Auto-tune on every, which is, on the voices. And Ryan Seacrest, he never breaks character from the Robotron, or whatever. He's just standing there, and they're all freezing and everything. And Post Malone was drinking like out of this red Solo cup, and it's whiskey, and he goes, well, you're staying warm, and he goes, yeah, pal, I got a whiskey, and Ryan's like, oh, well, I'm sure it's water, and you're just joking and everything. And Post Malone's no, actually, I'm really getting drunk or something, and they let it on there. He fell off the stage. Like, that is the most rock thing that happened all night, because Jim Morrison would have done that, right? I'm not comparing him, but I'm just saying Jim Morrison, when he was told, that's a true story, you can't say light my fire, we can't get higher, we can't eat better. And he looks at the camera and goes, can't get higher. That's Jim Morrison. Here's Post Malone telling Ryan Seacrest with a frozen smile, because it was so cold out, no, I'm actually getting wasted. And then he falls off the stage.
I think Post Malone's fallen off
the next day that he was okay, that like some fans caught him, and anyway.
Oh, I'm so glad. I was worried there for.
You were worried for Post Malone.
I think he's fallen off the stage a couple times actually recently too. So
that doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of his thing.
Holly, you were funny too, because speaking of that, because when I took you to the whiskey, my band had played the whiskey, and I was in awe. Oh my God, it's the whiskey. Whiskey Gold, famous place.
Oh, Dad, are you going to tell the story?
No, you couldn't have come with me because you weren't born yet.
No.
So Shanna wasn't even born when I.
No, I'm not giving you a hard time for that. I'm saying you're not going to tell the story about like me standing out front.
Yes.
Of the damn it.
Story, Shanna?
I don't know.
I go, there's
jog my memory, please.
There's the famous whiskey, and all these great bands, including your dad's band. I wouldn't know if we were great, but at that time we had 3 nights, and but don't forget the Doors started there, and Johnny Rivers, and I go on, and the Byrds, and all these other bands, and the Beatles came there when they first came to California, and they want to see Johnny Rivers and find out about James Burton, the great guitar player, played with Elvis and stuff. But they all went there to the whiskey because they thought it was a famous place, and George's date was Jane Mansfield. That doesn't date us back in that era, right? Or whatever. But the story was, and Holly looks and she goes, oh yeah, and there's the fence that Jim Morrison fell off of. And I'm like, well, that was in the movie, but that was a movie scene. But knowing what we do about Jim Morrison, I would say that is a fence that if there was a fence was there, he probably fell off.
Probably true.
So
Okay.
that's
Well, I
not
appreciate
embarrassing.
you not no, because you forgot the embarrassing part. So now I'm just gonna embarrass my okay. I think we should preface this with I was very into Jim Morrison. So I was like a huge Jim Morrison fan. So I have like all of his
Same.
poetry books, and I was obsessed with the Doors movie with Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. I was so excited when we were at the whiskey because there was just a lot of history there, and I knew that and Jim. And I said, "Oh, that's where Jim probably fell off the fence or whatever." But didn't I like get down in front of the door and like kiss the ground or something super lame?
Oh,
Oh, are you sure?
I
You didn't
did.
get hep C or something from that? A
That's,
smart
by the way,
idea.
that's in
Like Motley
Hollywood.
Crue and
I
That's,
know.
Poison
yeah,
have played there.
So
I'm sure
gross.
they
Had
never
I
watched
only
it.
known how many years later I would be drunk on the strip at some point going to shows myself.
Well, I'm glad I didn't tell that part of the story,
But
right,
I
Shannon?
did.
That would
I
have been
have to
embarrassing.
embarrass myself. I'm such a
Shannon
Oh,
would have
fell
said,
on her
"Dad,
sword.
Dad, you can't tell that story."
I
And
am the
Jim.
biggest dork. That's okay. It was a great moment. Okay, our little side story about rest in peace, Jim Morrison, and the whiskey. I think today though we wanted to talk about so as everyone I'm sure you all know by now, we've talked about it. We are opening a School of Rock here where we live in Colorado with my husband Andy, who helps do all of the editing for this. So we love you, Andy.
Yay.
And then Shanna as well. So we're all doing it together. And then our partners, shout out Sandra and Mike. We love you guys. And so we're so excited, but I've been with School of Rock a long time. And we got notice that School of Rock is partnering with Music Will, which is Little Kids Rock. And the second I heard about it from the School of Rock CEO, and just we got that announcement out. I mean, I've known about Little Kids Rock for a long time as well, and we just think it's an amazing partnership. But when I told my dad, I was like, "Oh, hey, we got this news today that School of Rock and Music Will are going to be partnering." There was a connection there, right, Dad? Like
Yeah.
you have a connection to that.
Well, first of all, I love visiting when I was there with you, both of you, and
Yay.
Freya and Andy. And weather was beautiful too, by the way. There was no snow, but
It's
wouldn't be
perfect.
bad.
Yeah.
But your building is great. I just can't be more excited. You guys have had
Yay.
success.
We're so
And
excited.
there were two things that I said. First of all, the guy that I did work on the movie School of Rock. I just did some of the guitars, and Gibson, our competitor, we still work with them, and not competitive. We worked together, but at that time I was at Fender, and it was Coke and Pepsi, and Gibson. So they were in the movie, and we were in the movie, and we did a lot of the.
Um, Sorry, Dad. I do feel like I need to interrupt really quick and just let everyone know, just so everyone's aware, School of Rock, the music school that we run and that my husband and I have been with for a long time. It was actually originally called Paul Green School of Rock, and it came before the movie School of Rock with Jack Black. So that Jack Black character is very loosely based on the founder of School of Rock, the music schools that we run and do now. So I just a fun little fact because everyone, of course, everyone always thinks of the movie, which is awesome because you're like, yes, a lot like the movie. But then it's just always a little fun fact and trivia that School of Rock, the music schools, actually it came first before the movie. So just throwing out there. Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, thanks for ruining the story, Hal.
What?
So,
Oh no.
and Shanna, no, I'm just kidding. But Shanna got Bettina and I tickets to the School of Rock the musical, which is another entity.
Yeah.
So the School of Rock is a brand,
Yeah.
name that can be what you call brand extensions. But so Paul Green came to us at NAM. We're mentioning NAM again. I know the last episode we talked about NAM, and I was in a meeting with him because John Page had started a music school program, and he left Fender. And we used the money from the Catalina Island Blues Fest where I met Bettina the first time. That money financed a music program, which you both know. It had 17,000 children till the new owners took over and they decided to close it down. It was not losing money, but it was a nonprofit. It
Yeah,
wasn't meant
and
to
that's
be a profit.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, 17,000 over, but that was a period of 20 years. And they had the museum there, the Johnny Cash exhibit, which ended up in Nashville, but that all started there. It was a wonderful facility. If you remember, we got the bigger building that housed the museum, the education programs. We did concerts there. We could talk about that on another episode. But before that happened, or right when we were doing that, Paul Green met with us, and Jack Black looked like him. And you're right, it was before the movie, so I didn't have any idea that, but I liked the name, School of Rock. And this guy was funny. He came in, he kind of dressed like that. He had like a corduroy jacket. I remember him coming in, and the marketing people at Fender just didn't want to get involved with something. They wanted to kind of make their own, which was fine. But I always felt that he offered Fender School of Rock. He offered us
Really?
instead
Wow.
of us starting our own. And when we started our own, it was hard because we had to put all our resources. And I think the School of Rock, it would have made sense. And I know Fender and other companies work with you, but I just want to tell that story. They did turn it down. I was a little disappointed, but I understood why.
Oh,
When the
man.
movie did it, we did a lot of the school instruments for the kids, some of it, and some amps and things like that. It wasn't a big deal, but the movie was such a huge hit. And of course, you mentioned School of Rock, and everyone thinks of Jack Black. We would have been a for-profit with School of Rock, and so Fender ended up that we had to finance a nonprofit, but we should also explore. One thing the marketing guys that was really good is they said, well, let's work with a profit. At that point, School of Rock was not available. So we met this guy, David Wish, and it was called Little Kids Rock. And we gave him a form at every NAMM show, and he was great. He wore this like cat in a hat, giant hat, and he'd run around. And we were enamored with him. He was great. And what happened was we needed to get funding for that too. And we couldn't do it with Fender because it's for profit. And he found out that Dr. Phil was supporting, because he had a young son, and Dr. Phil's thing was join a band, not a gang. And he was talking to parents. So we thought, well, that's a great spokesperson. So David said that the drummer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad Smith, and him, and I don't know who else came, we're going to be on Dr. Phil talking about music education on the Christmas show, the Christmas show. And he said, we'd like you to be on the show. So there we go. So I come home from Bettina and I tell Bettina, I go, hey, Bettina, I got great news. We're going to be on Dr. Phil. She goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, no, we're not going to be on Dr. Phil. I'm going to be on Dr. Phil, And
You have something to
so
tell me, Del?
what's that?
No, I was just saying, like, she's like, is there something you want to tell me? Do we
That's
need
what it was. And she
Yeah.
was like, I'm like, no, of course not. And I go, no, this is forget it. It's a Christmas show, music education. So I go down there. They go the day before, I set up all the gear the next day. And I thought that I was just going to be there and they could just say, oh, Fender has been supporting this, and I'm the guy that was doing most of the fundraising. So little did I know, they go, okay, you have to go into makeup in here. I'm like, what? Oh, you're going to be on the show. Actually, you're going to be on the show. He's going to call you to talk about it. It was really funny. Chad Smith was great with the kids. They had kids from the program. David was there and talked about it. And I'm sitting next to Dr. Phil's partner for the nonprofit. And he leans over and he says, we're going to give you guys a really big check today. That's all he said.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm in the first row. It was great. So finally, my part is so small, but oh yeah, and I went into makeup and the guy goes, okay, and they put a little pancake on. I go in the hair and the guy looks at it and he goes, I swear to God, I'm quoting him. He goes, what do you want me to do with that? Just leave it, I mean, they're gonna make it like all, you guys know my hair. I mean, it's shorter now, but
Also, Dad,
Yes.
what did you call before? A pancake on your face?
Well,
I
pancake
don't know
makeup,
what
that's what it's called, like that really heavy TV makeup.
the
That's
guy's
Oh,
like, oh, you have
really?
shine,
Mhm.
on your
Yeah.
Oh,
nose.
it's called pancake makeup? Oh, I
Yeah.
never knew that.
But
Okay.
this
Sorry.
nose needed something, so it was
No,
protruding onto the camera.
don't we all?
Sad.
Finally, towards the end of the show, Dr. Phil goes, we got Dale Breckenfeld from Fender now. He's in the audience. Now, Dale, you stand up and you tell us all about what's great about music education.
Oh,
Stand up,
That's
And it was so
cool.
funny. And Bettina's mom watches Dr. Phil, and I remember her calling Bettina. She goes, I think I just saw your husband on Dr. Phil. Yes,
oh.
it was Dale Breckenfeld. Anyway, it was great. And then they gave him a big check, and it was so wonderful. And David was he was really the star. I'm going down the hallway, and I had all the gear there. I had all my gear there and everything. And this woman's running, Mr. Breckenfeld, Mr. Breckenfeld. Dr. Phil wants to give you a gift thing. And I go, oh, yeah, I get gift baskets. It's okay. And she goes, no, all the gifts that he gave his family, you have to get a duplicate because everybody in the audience, it's a signed deal that like every sponsor puts something up. But it's
Oh,
the greatest stuff. And so the funny little part of that story, actually, Freya got the little Christmas book from Hallmark that you record that I
Oh,
recorded
yeah, that's
oh,
right.
she
for
loves
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might need a battery now, but that was
Yeah.
there. But there were two things. One was a tablet, and it was
What?
the Nook. No,
Uh,
what's the first book one? The very first one.
Kindle?
Kindle. It was the very first one, and I didn't even know what it was. And the other
what?
thing were black pearl earrings, and Bettina had a black pearl necklace. And one of her wishes, I'm not making this up, it was to get a black earrings to match it. Pearl, well, that's a lot of money, and I was going to do it, but I'm like, wow, I got it. Already got this gift. Should I tell her? Not just wrap them up,
Huh?
and or should I just say that was on the show? Would she know that I got these gifts? She would have no idea. I would come home. I think there was some chocolate. Oh, Dr. Phil gave me chocolate. Anyway, I get home and uh and I go, Bettina, I was the angel on my shoulder is like, just give her the gift. It's 2 weeks before Christmas. And I said, the black pearl earrings, I was going to wrap them up. I got them from Dr. Phil here. And oh my God, they're beautiful. They're perfect. She goes, what else did you get? And I got a Kindle. And she said, well, that's what I was going to buy you. I'll wrap that up.
Nice. Thank you, Dr. Phil,
Hey.
for a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Santa
But
Phil coming through.
so the wonderful thing about School of Rock now it's called, Will. I mean, it's
Music Will.
Music
Music
Will,
Will.
but it's still David. David's great. So two more quick things that came with David. First of all, Gene Simmons, common law wife, I think they were never married, but they're husband and wife, saw me on Dr. Phil and called Fender because he wanted to sponsor a music program. And particularly they have a young son. The guy's like 8 feet tall, but anyway, he's bigger than Gene. And Gene wanted to have us on Family Jewels
Oh.
and bring instruments for the kids. And his wife contacted us and they said, yeah. And of course, I could do that. Budget was David was going to be there too. So Dave Collins, who was my right-hand man at the time at Fender, we had to make the van, our company van, which we never had anything on like Fender, because it would be a mark for somebody, particularly in Hollywood, and somebody sees a Fender van, it would last 2 minutes, right? So we put all these signs, stencils at Fender, and everything, and we dressed with Fender clothing, and we were the Fender delivery men on Family Jewels, and it was great because, and Gene
Oh
was
my
great.
God. Yeah.
His wife was so sweet, and his son. Anyway, they come out, and we had to shoot the scene a couple times, even though it's a reality show, of course. And the kids are in the school, and it's like that scene in Hot for Teacher at the end when the kid that looks like David Lee Roth, and they all come spewing out of the school screaming and stuff like that. That was the scene. So Gene Simmons and his wife would go, hey, guess who's here? Fender's here, and they got free instruments. I'm screaming
Oh,
like that scene, and they're running towards us, and David,
Dad, we gotta find that
oh
episode.
my God, it's
Yeah,
funny. I don't know what
remember.
they had. I don't know if I ever saw the final version. Anyway, we opened the door and a big Fender sign, and they're grabbing it. And Gene's like, give me three, they're small. He's grabbing it. Anyway, that was funny. That was David. And Gene was great. And I had other
Oh,
things with him. He's a funny guy, though, because his agent's like, and Gene was, you have that one picture. I think you guys saw the picture in the tuxedo. I was doing that event and we sponsored, and Gene was the spokesperson. He was
oh
great.
yeah, I've seen
He
it.
was great, man. That guy, he's on. He got up there, but afterwards he's talking to me, and I can't impersonate him, but he's got that voice, and he's like, yeah, and listen, we have this KISS, and our licensing is like so big, and we do all this stuff. And I'm like, he didn't even play Fender, so I really couldn't do anything, like that. And he was, just telling me about it, and I kind of knew that. His agent comes up to me and he said, that guy will sell you anything. He said, Del, if you have $40, he'll sell you his underwear right now. I'm like, the underwear that he's wearing right now? And he goes, he'll sell it to you for $40. I go, I'm not interested. No
He's
offense
always making a deal,
I
that
love
Yeah,
the
he
guy.
guy,
is.
but he was making a point.
It's
He's making
probably Kiss underwear too,
Oh, you know
because he
what?
has Kiss on everything.
Yeah, totally
right,
right.
that's
Going
what
to
it
be
yeah.
Kiss underwear, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
It
Jason, Jason and Cecilia. So, I don't, I'm not going to share their last names or anything. But they have a company called Ep.7. It's super cool. They have, these awesome little replica guitars. Anyway, they're doing Kiss guitars right now, and they're on the Kiss cruise with all
Oh,
those guys
cool.
Oh, I
right
didn't
Very
now.
know that. Oh,
cool.
they're
Yeah,
great.
so
How
just a little
fun.
funny.
And
Yeah.
they're School of Rock owners, right? We
Yes,
went
they
and
are.
visited
Yeah.
them last year.
They have one of the largest schools of rock in the world, so we love them very much.
I love working with them. We did the Stevie Ray Vaughan deal with him. We brought Stevie Ray Vaughan,
He's the best. Jason's the best. We love you,
he's a
Jason.
total success, he and his wife. They're great people. I don't know how they do all the schools of rock and
And
another
and
business, but
Cecilia,
that's
yeah.
Andy sandblasted the walls of his building himself.
Yeah, he did a lot of it himself in his schools.
But, yeah, that
I
was a
just thought
fun
that
day.
was funny. Yeah.
No, good story. Good. Yeah, because well, but Kiss's stuff is very valuable. I mean, the hockey game that was out here where the Kings played the Ducks at Dodgers Stadium. That out there, they get those games that they had. I think they had Wrigley Field had one. They'll have them in outdoor venues in winter. Well, it's 80 degrees in California. I mean, they could not get that Zamboni was following the players around because they couldn't keep it. It was slush.
Oh.
But Kiss was the halftime show, and they were
Oh.
spectacular. So
I've
yeah,
never seen them live. To go back really quick though to I just wanted to bring this up. Music Will. I just wanted to let everyone know that they can find out more information and learn about them. They're an amazing program. I think we just wanted to give a shout out to them because we're so excited for this partnership with School of Rock, but also they are just a wonderful organization that we support very much. So we recommend, or I recommend you guys check them out at musicwill.org. So I just want to plug their website really quick for anyone who's listening or watching and anyone who's interested to just get some more information about them. Again, a wonderful you know
Organization? Charitable
organization.
organization?
Yeah, yeah.
do
Thank
they is that like a grant program then for students for School of Rock, or how does that work?
We are not sure about the full program right now. I think we're just it's just in the beginning stages, and they put out some information on kind of what that partnership is going to look like.
It's probably too early in the. It's just that guy has been around for such a long time, and he does such great work. And I just I mean, it's the hardest thing, whether it's nonprofit or profit. It's the hardest thing because schools do not have music programs, so it's not like
Yeah.
something where you can learn about music. Like I was fortunate, I got a scholarship for music, and I had a wonderful teacher that opened up a whole new world to me. I was out at University of California, Santa Barbara on a program on Monday, and I'm looking at these students and they're in the library and they're listening to vinyl records, and we're working on some digital downloads for them of some famous records that they don't have. That's not the point. The point was they're giving their education, and the whole California school system is like that. But most schools, there's a lot of programs that they're trying to get arts and music back in the
Yeah.
school. And I
Yeah.
was a liberal arts major. Like when you're a business manager, you graduate and you're a boss. I drove a music truck when I graduated, but I did teach. I have a teaching degree, but I was blessed because my parents got me a guitar, and then that was my whole life. I've talked about that before. Same with you two,
Yeah, well, we went
you
to a
Shanna.
Walt Disney magnet school where it had literally the basement was called the Communication Arts Center. So we had arts, we had music, which was really important. Actually, our dad used to come and um play music at our school. He used to play the garage. Sorry, you guys. Obviously, I'm tired today. Used to play the guitar for our classmates. That was a lot of fun. Shannon and I were just talking about that the other day. Really quick, I do want to add in here. So just to answer that question, like School of Rock and Little Kids Rock. So it looks like the press release mentions the partnership aims to advance the familiarity, oh my goodness, and awareness of music will in communities while simultaneously providing their students with opportunities to participate in School of Rock events and receive discounted enrollment to School of Rock music programs. School of Rock will provide Music Will with multi-year funding to support their efforts, including an upfront donation to amplify their current rebranding initiative.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, so it just, that partnership really makes sense and we're really excited about it. So sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's
I
important
knew
because,
it was announced, yeah.
but liberal arts, is, people go, well, yeah, liberal arts. Well, that's what it is. It opens your mind. If you're a business school, not that you can't have an open mind, but I love Disney. And Shanna, particularly, when you started there, you had to get on the bus at age 3. Imagine putting a 3-year-old on a bus, but Shanna
No.
did it. And you went, but and the pods, they were open classroom. But the idea was to foster creativity and intellect and giving you a wide range. And it was also a breakdown of all the social. I remember it represented the city if it was Native American or Black or Hispanic or whatever the cultural division was, meaning you had to have that number. You had to represent the city because they wanted all the children to be together and see that you're not that far apart, no matter how you're raised or what your background is. And I always believed in that. And I remember my teacher in college telling me, I know you're a rock and roller, you got this degree, you're good at what you do, but you've got to expand. And you listen to classical music? And I'm like, well, no, my parents listen to Mozart and Beethoven, and I like it, but it's not my thing. She said, let's go to the music library. So it pulls out a record, and it's Aaron Copland, and it's 20th century American music. I still listen to it today. I mean, not that I wouldn't have found it, but she said, what you love, you have to understand classical music can give that to you. All music can give it to you. Don't close the door just because you're this young rock guy, and that's fine. You can do what you want. And so if you're exposed to music and you get that chance, you can make a decision. You're going to be lifelong love of music. That's number one, or art, whatever.
And appreciate it, and yeah.
I was never going to be a star baseball player. I wanted to be. I tried. I played hockey. I was never going to make the majors, but I could do it in music because I had that passion. And I had passion for sports. I just didn't have the, whatever it is, I didn't have that I had for music. So not about me. It's about what School of Rock does, both of you, what you're doing. And those students that go through School of Rock of anyway, and that's great with David Wish, because that's his point. Well, let's give people, let's give kids a chance. And I see the parents at the School of Rock how proud they are of their children, right? If they're on a football team, sometimes, it can be really rough even at that age in football, but there's not a lot of players. Basketball, it's going to have, I don't know, 12, in high school, but music, you can have it, you got the bands and everything. So it's a great thing, and it's great that School of Rock is doing that. Not only is using the School of Rock name because it's got a brand, but then bringing in David. The last time I talked to David, I was still at Fender, and Bernie Williams. I was working with Major League Baseball. I don't know if you guys remember when I was doing the baseball stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we had a Cubs guitar, of course. Yes, go Cubs. But we had a Yankees guitar. Too bad they didn't like it, but we were doing that, and a lot of it was for charity. And the Boston Red Sox charity, and which is Theo Epstein, which is why we worked with the Cubs. And Bernie Williams is center field for the Yankees, and a great player, but a huge music talent, guitar player. And Paul McCartney signed him to his publishing company. That tells you his talent. And he's the go-to guy for all these events. Every time he's going to do it, this event I'm doing in November for Major League Baseball Players Association. We're just doing promotions, but Bernie's going to play. He's always there with the stuff. So David Wish called me and he said, look, we're playing, I think it was the Hard Rock or the House of Blues in New York. I'm pretty sure it was the Hard Rock. And he said, we're doing a fundraising event and we're not getting a lot of ticket sales. And he said, is there anyone you can call? And you have to be in New York because they didn't have the money. It'd have to be somebody I could call to literally walk down or, go down, take a cab and play with his band, sit in. But we needed it for the draw. And I said, well, I could call Bernie Williams. He's legendary in New York. They love him, center fielder. I was there when they opened Yankees Stadium, and he played Take Me Out to the Ball Game on guitar. And then that guitar was donated to a children's music program. And then we smashed. They were smashers with baseball bat necks, so they weren't real guitars. And I was there. I have pictures of it. And Anthrax came,
Oh, nice.
played. And speaking of Kiss, Ace Frehley came, and he was
Yeah,
the greatest
cool.
guy. And they jammed, and then they led the kids smashing the guitars to Chris in Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
How cool is
cool.
that? And the guitar that Bernie played, one of them is still on display at Yankee Stadium in the Hard Rock. You can see it. It's signed by Bernie. Anyway, I know we're going to run out of time, so I'm just going to say, I called Bernie, and Bernie's like, "Of course, I'll do it. Yeah, what do you need me to do?" Well, here's the date, and can they publicize it? You know, Yankee great Bernie Williams is going to be there, and he said, "Yeah, and can I bring a friend?" And I said, "Of course. You know, you're going to play on stage. Bring whoever you want." I forget about it, you know. I mean, you know, went on. David calls me the next day and he goes, "Del, that was the most unbelievable thing. We actually turned people away."
Oh.
And I go, "What do you mean? Just, I know Bernie's great, but that we did that well?" He said, "Yeah, you didn't tell me his friend he was bringing was Bruce Springsteen." And
Oh,
yeah, how you like that? And
oh,
Bernie he ended up recording Glory Days with Bruce. And they have
Oh,
it on
cool.
his album
Very
now
cool.
because we worked on a promotion. Anyway, I thought I'd tell that story. That's Bernie Williams,
yeah.
and that's David Wish too. And that one I couldn't take credit for. It was just calling Bernie. But yeah, I mean, if I would have known, if Bettina would have known, she would have flown. She would have jumped on
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Just
yeah. It's her
Woo!
favorite, the
Okay,
boss.
I want to quickly share, since we're just talking about music education, that's kind of this episode and the theme. I have kind of a really cool memory. It was, uh, I've had multiple, 2 open heart surgeries in my life. So on my last one that I had, just about 5 or so years ago, I was healing and we got a call, Dad. I don't know if you well, yeah, I'm sure you remember this. Um, from actually it was Jason and Cecilia who helped. They reached out to us that
Oh,
the Jimi Hendrix, the Experience tour was coming through Chicago, and Janie Hendrix was donating a Fender guitar to not every, but some of the local schools of rock where they were touring, where the Hendrix tour experience. So I'm like, I can't turn this down. I have to go. So they invited the kids to come see sound check. It was incredible. You know, our students at the Oak Park School of Rock at the time. And that was so great. They had to leave, but they asked Andy and I to, so I like, I'm just saying it was like after my heart surgery, I'm like still healing and I'm like, I'm not going to miss this. So I think it was like at the Aragon Ballroom and we were there all day. And then they're like, why don't you stay, come backstage? And Janie Hendrix wants to, present you with the guitar on stage. It's like, okay. At the time, it was still sound check. There weren't a lot of people there, whatever. We went backstage for a little bit. Next thing I know, they're like, okay, you're up. You're going to go. Janie Hendrix gets on stage. She has the guitar. She invites me on stage. I come out. It is a sold out, like, I mean, I don't know. I can't remember if it was the Aragon Theater, but
Chicago theater. It was the Chicago
it was
theater.
Chicago Theater. Okay, so huge, like 2 levels, completely sold out. I walked out, I just was not expecting that, or like I didn't realize that. And Janie Hendrix presents me, and meaning the School of Rock, the Oak Park School of Rock at the time, with the Fender guitar, and then she invites me to say something. So I didn't know it. I didn't think about anything, like I didn't plan anything. And there's like a spotlight on me, like a sold out, like I don't know how many, like I'm sure a few thousand people there. But I just get out there and I just started talking about music education and what it means to me and how important it is. And I just spoke from the heart, and the crowd, like, I got a really good response from the crowd. They were all cheering and stuff, and it was really great. And I don't know, that was just like a crazy memory to me. Like, it was just after my surgery and I'm like, I can't turn this down. We have to make this work. And then Janie Hendrix was amazing. Dad, I know you've worked with her quite a bit. And then actually she took a picture of us, remember? And she like sent it to you.
She
She's
sent
like,
it to me.
your
She said,
daughter right now.
no, she said, "Guess who I'm with tonight?"
Oh,
And that was it. And I'm like, "What going on?" And all of a sudden, I knew that you were recovering from the
yeah.
surgery, and all of a sudden you're on stage. The picture was like her with, we did return the favor though. This young man, one of your kids looked like Jimi Hendrix, and I sent that to Janie, he dressed up like Jimmy. They were,
Yeah.
we said Jimmy was still number one among, kids. And we know that universally, everybody said, what's the greatest guitar player? He's going to be up there. It's going to be Eddie Van Halen and / maybe Jimmy Page, the usual guys, but Hendrix always seems to be winning all the polls forever, and he died, 50 years ago, or whatever. And in fact, his birthday is coming up, I think. His 8th birthday would have been his 80th, sadly. But you had the poster.
Yeah.
I had
But
it
the
framed,
School of Rock
and we
presents Jimi Hendrix. Yeah.
and we took a picture, but then I met Janie. Bettina had my wife had the Riverside Film Festival, and we invited Janie to screen one of her films on Jimmy, and she came and spoke, and it was really wonderful. And I gave her the poster.
Oh,
I had a dry mouth.
I mean,
I was so moved.
she is amazing to do that, to don't, and we gave that guitar to a student in need. So we put it to really good, use, and we made sure to give back. But I will just always remember that and just that amazing moment, and just like walking out there, and I had no idea. And then just music education and how much it means to us, which I think is a really good place to end this episode. I think I think it just shows how much music means to all three of us, and how much music education and giving back. And obviously we're really excited to open our School of Rock here and do that. And we are really excited for the partnership with School of Rock and Music Will. So thanks, Dan. Yeah, for sharing.
Thank you, Shanna, for the Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze, the first record with Purple Haze, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, which you gave me for Christmas, the remastered version.
Which
I have my vinyl player behind me. So thank you, Shanna, for the Hendrix, because I wore mine out. Honest to God, when people go, "Oh yeah, I love that record," I wore it out. I wore Are You Experienced? I wore it out. And I don't know if you knew that, Shanna, but
I don't think I did, but
you got
you're
me the
very welcome. I'm
remastered,
glad.
the new top end remastered. So bless you, and thank you for Jimmy. He will always be there. And of course, Jimmy's book, Holly, that you're in the interview in his book.
I am in a little part of the end of the book. Yeah, maybe we can go over that
we'll talk. We'll give a plug to Harvey Kubernick. It's a great book. Anyway, sorry, I had to jump in about that.
No, that's okay. No, I just wanted to share that story too. No, it was great. All right, love you guys. Thanks so much. This was a fun episode. Again, everyone, please like, share, do all that.
Subscribe,
click the things. And then email us at RnRZelig@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you everyone for listening, and we promise we'll be back soon with more episodes. Have a great one. Thanks, y'all.